last year had an opportunity to work on this tract of land, which is a little over an acre, with two friends doing experimental food growing, and through the processes of working with them and different methods of growing, decided to hand cultivate without the use of a tractor the whole acre plus and provide food for a large portion of the community. Over 20 families now we provide for on a weekly basis. And so this has become a financially sustaining venture, as well as we're all super tight friends with each other now. We're in the best shape we've ever been in. We eat amazing food every day, and I have no regrets with leaving my job that paid me really well.
Ventura County is really exceptional agriculturally. It's over $1 billion industry per year in the county alone. That's a lot, and it's continued to it keeps creeping up. Ventura County agriculture tends to be very high-end, resource-intensive agriculture because of the value of the land and the pressure on the land to produce economically. And historically, conventionally, that's meant moving toward more and more intensively farmed produce from the old dryland lima beans and walnuts and beets and things that we did a century ago, up through citrus, and avocados, the perennial tree crops, and then into row crops, vegetables and things, and finally culminating in strawberries, which are extremely resource intensive, right before the land is converted to housing or other kinds of development. There are other ways to generate that much value or sufficient value from land by cultivating intensively. If you look to conventionally, products here have been marketed as commodities through cooperatives or large corporations, sold into a massive distributor who then process it, and so it's very difficult. It's sold to a middleman in essence, and the producer loses the connection between themselves and the eventual consumer. And a possible opening for new enterprises now is to try to breach that gap and find a way to direct market from producing it yourself to the market, to CSA as Justin has done, or direct sales to smaller markets locally, or a roadside market, or there are many, many new models, and I would encourage people to explore what's possible out there and to get creative.
Circle Garden was the first thing we cultivated, and we began last August, a little over a year ago, and within 4.5 months had begun our community-supported agriculture program, only within beds that we had cultivated within the circle. So if you want to take a look, there are 23 100 square foot beds, so 2,300 square feet of growing space, not including the innermost part of the circle. And going through that, one thing about the CSA model that has been the most financially sustaining thing for us is that it's applicable to a lot of different varieties of climate, of urban or suburban or rural. So I really feel that in urban spaces this is an applicable method of growing food and creating a business, even within people's front and backyards, and connecting them and growing food for the community that surrounds you, like even in a really, really tight urban space.
The agricultural economy is so distorted by so many different factors these days that it's challenging to make a living from agriculture. And I think at least from conventional agriculture as it's been configured. And every year there are fewer large agricultural operations, conventional. There's been consolidation since a couple generations before I was born, since my grandfather was farming.
In these times, especially the conventional work model, which we're all observing that has its faults. You know, people driving themselves sometimes mad to rushing to get things done, competing against each other. This new times, it seems like there's even a call at the governmental level to do things a little different. They don't know how. They're not telling us what to do. But from our perspective, sitting here, working from here, we think that in this building relationships across common boundaries and professional boundaries, it makes more sense to us because we do so on a local scale.
I have my own business for a very long time. I started a couple and failed in my early 20s, and the opportunity presented itself in the form of growing and selling native plants. So I took it along with my partner Tony and Kenji, who helped create this business. Now we have a retail front in Ventura, and we're doing it. We're working for ourselves. Whatever happens is because of us, and knowing that all we got to do is show up and stick to the plan, and we're going to be okay. We're going to make it. And not only that, but we're doing a wonderful thing for the community, trying to tell people, or help them learn rather, that they can have a beautiful garden and not use so much water and create habitat for animals. It's great.
This is another way in which Ventura County agriculture is distinctive too. In the United States, the average age of a farmer is well into the 50s. In California, the average age of a farmer is even older than that. And in Ventura County, it's even older than that. And that's also a function of the value of the real estate. Younger people have a hard time affording to be able to buy into the operation.
The main challenges with the project on the farm that I personally notice are that once you reach a certain scale, you come up against a lot of bureaucratic barriers. That seems like if you're in between a really small kind of roadside farm stand or a large, huge producing farm, there's this in-between area that's very difficult to go through all the bureaucratic processes to be a legitimate legal business and still be financially sustaining. So we're playing around with that right now. But the main challenges have been getting to a certain scale and selling outside of the CSA, trying to sell at farmers markets, potentially to restaurants or retail markets. It's becoming a challenging thing. But the CSA is a really awesome model, and I really encourage anybody interested in growing food to explore it.
Tough economic times are a challenge for everybody, but fortunately we had enough money saved to get started and to build the foundation, and we've been able to survive off of that, and keeping the store stocked with plants and knowing the plants and helping people and really doing a lot of community outreach, which my partner Tony's been putting together and doing a wonderful job of it, has really been keeping us steady through the summer, which is supposed to be a slow time, but for us it's been pretty steady. If you really want to start a business, learn the business. Learn it well and know it like the back of your hand. It should be something that either you've done already, or whatever your role is going to be in that business, you should be very familiar with that. And if you're not, and you really are passionate about it, take the time to learn it so that when complicated situations do arise, you know how to handle them very comfortably, because you're going to be more confident that way, and confidence is the key.
If we look to the limitations of the conventional and then look at other possible ways to solve those problems other than what has become the industry standard, that will raise other possibilities. Get curious, ask a lot of questions. Go find the oldest, most experienced people you can, and the people who love their work. Find someone who loves their work and find a way to hang out with them. You know? Find yourself a mentor and volunteer. And there's a lot of knowledge to be had, a lot of knowledge to be passed on that will fall by the wayside if younger people don't pick it up.
My advice for youth interested in doing something related to what we're doing, whether it be just growing vegetables on a small scale or growing growing herbs or doing any sort of agriculture basis, to just really think outside of the box as much as possible. Agriculture doesn't have to look like 1,000 acres of strawberries, doesn't have to look like 500 acres of oranges or avocados. It can look like this. It can look like weeds. It can look like plants that are dying. It can look like any number of things and still be a good venture, still be positive, still be financially viable. And I would say my advice also would be look close to home. Nearby you, even within neighbors' front and backyards, is open space that I imagine a conversation that may not be all that difficult could really open up possibilities for where you can actually do something earth-based and agriculture-based. So you don't need a huge tract of land. You don't need to incur $20,000 of debt. You can just do it now with the shovel that's sitting in your backyard in your neighbor's lot. Just start, do whatever you can, and learn through experience. The resources are there, the help's there. All you have to do is do it.
So it all starts very close to you. What do you see yourself doing? How are you doing it? And can you do it every single day as your job? Can you do your own personal change as your job and affect everyone positive from there on?